Hey guys!
We're back.
We're back.
If y'all seen our first part, we did the relationship Q&A part 1. It'll be up here. If y'all want to see that. We also did a podcast last year, really detailing our relationship.
Yep.
If you want to go see that. It's part 2 because it was highly requested and I let y'all ask me questions, so let's see.
Let's do it.
Where do we begin? If the other person lost their memory, what's the first thing you would say?
Booty! Booty! No booty!
We call each other booty.
Or butt.
Or butt.
No, she doesn't call me that.
We live together.
Yes, we live together.
And what are your thoughts on living with me?
I love living with you. It's really exciting to come home to somebody who loves you, somebody who is excited to see you, somebody who cooks.
Okay. I also like living together. It makes things much easier. Well, we've been living together already. I say that because people are like, oh, is it better that you guys are like constantly in the same house? But it's like,
before we were living together, we were already kind of living together. Like you were either at my place or I was at your place. The move didn't really feel like that big of a shift.
it's a little different, I guess, because technically it's both of our house. So it's not like majority masculine or majority feminine.
And it's good to have a balance. It feels good. It's nice. She has that woman's touch that a man needs. And it's like, well, that I need. Y'all figure out y'all woman's touch.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. Okay.
Matter of fact, let me do the questions. Let me ask some questions. I know what y'all want to know. How did I court you?
Oh my god.
There
He
we go.
loves to have this
Let's
question.
get to it.
Dante courted me by kind of like studying me. Like,
Ooh.
oh god. He just like was very observant in like what I needed, what I wanted, very attentive to me. If you've seen another one of our videos, I told a story about like basically he saw through the grapevine that like my tripod had broken, so he had just like randomly like that same day went to Best Buy and like picked up another one. This is before we were even dating. Like went and picked up another one, and like I was at his house later and he like popped it out and was like, hey, I saw someone posted you didn't have it, so I went and got it. Just very attentive and intentional about loving me. Well, I guess it's before you loved me, but I would say just intentional about being present for me and showing me that he was serious about being in my life. I would say it's how he courted me.
You guys to pay attention. Okay, listen. 'Cause I think this is just a funny question given our situation. When is our anniversary? When is our anniversary?
Our anniversary is July 3rd. It's July 3rd.
Okay, tell them
Technically, it's
Tell them
July
why.
4th because we had the like, we're about to be in a relationship conversation at like 2 a.m. on July 4th.
But
I don't want to share my day with July 4th. Like, who wants to do that? That's a holiday. I don't want to do that. There's always something going on. I don't want to be at the barbecue. Like, no, I want to be having my day. So, no, it's July 3rd. Period.
she switched our anniversary.
It is that.
And we really celebrated on July 3rd. Like,
what?
for real. Okay, somebody asked, how do you become high value?
As a woman.
It just says, how do you become high value? I don't know what that means.
I think being high value is how you value yourself. Do you
Ooh, go get him, get him, get him.
Yeah, I think being high value is how much you value yourself. If you think you're low value, then other people may see you the same way, or your standards may be low because you see yourself as low value, so then you will attract lower value people. I think high value is not how much money you have or how you carry yourself or how you dress and this and that. It's more so like what you provide to yourself and others. And so I think if you don't feel like you provide much to yourself and others, then step it up. Provide yourself more. Put yourself first and let everything else kind of trickle down.
Put yourself first.
Period.
Value yourself. Love yourself.
Period.
Value yourself.
Yeah.
That's how you become high value. Do you ever feel like you have nothing to talk about, and how do you deal with it? Why is that funny? Why is that funny?
Because no. And that's the funny part. Like I thought about it very briefly and I was like, we are always talking.
Even if we're talking about nothing.
We're always talking.
There's sometimes where we're not even like saying anything. We're just making sounds to each other.
Facts. Or singing.
But for real though, sometimes we're not talking and there's nothing to talk about and we're cool with. It's not like when we're quiet, we're uncomfortable.
We're comfortable in silence. It's just because we're friends, there's typically something to talk about.
This question says, how do you recover from a narcissistic relationship?
Therapy, girl. And that's where I lead you to.
Betterhelp!
Therapy, girl. You go to therapy. I'm not even gonna give you like 1, 2, 3 tip. You need to go to therapy. That's like intense trauma, dealing with a narcissist, and having to learn how to ungaslight yourself is a very deep process. And so go to therapy, allow yourself to be heard, and start to practice feeling valid in the things that you feel and that you say, because narcissistic people tend to invalidate and gaslight, and you don't have to go through that. Go to therapy.
Something I wanted to say was, and this is something that you kind of helped me with, don't try to downplay your trauma. Like, don't try to be like, oh, I'm good, like it wasn't that serious, this, that, and the third. Like, if you've been through something and you know it's like, yo, that was crazy, that was rough, this, that, and the third, sometimes you think about it, like, it was traumatic, and that's okay. Everybody's been through something traumatic. Nobody's exempt, no matter what they look like online or how they try to portray it. Everybody has something that they've been through that bothers them. So just, acknowledge your trauma. If you're not gonna do it with, somebody else, do it within self, and then, find a good outlet for it.
Yeah.
You two cook together because both of y'all look like y'all like to eat.
He don't be cooking.
But
He be eating it.
no, that wasn't the but.
No.
That wasn't the but.
What?
But I do the dishes.
Oh, he does do the dishes.
Yeah.
We split that load. Like, I'll
Yeah.
cook, he'll do the dishes.
She cooks the food, I do the dishes. And listen, sometimes I be feeling like the dishes is the more difficult task because
Wow.
listen. When you're cooking, you're making a mess. You're like, you're making the da-da-da, this
There's
pot,
a
that
science
pot.
to that.
No, there's
There's
science
a
to
science to washing
for sure. Well,
dishes.
first of all, there is a science to washing dishes if you really want to have to clean dishes. And it's easier to clean a mess than it is to make a mess.
Okay, but it's easier to clean a mess than to know what temperature to cook something at, to watch it, to season it properly, to know exactly when to flip something. Like, that is a science that is completely different than a scrub-a-dub on a plate that you ate off. You wouldn't want to switch.
I could make dinner. I could cook dinner.
So let's see it. Next video,
You know
cooking.
what? I'm not even about to let y'all sign me up for
No,
nothing
next
crazy.
video is him cooking.
We
That's what he said.
have our system and it works, and that's what it is. Yeah.
Whatever, child.
She do the cooking, I do the cleaning,
Yeah, whatever.
and we good.
Who said I love you first? I honestly don't know.
But Taty used to be playing little love you games like as a friend. Like she used to be doing like little like
Love
when we're
you.
like, yeah, all right, love you, like, you know what I'm saying? She used to be doing that little like friend love you.
I don't know who said the official, like, I love you though, like for real. I don't know.
She used to be playing with that. How do we keep our relationship going? I would say we keep our relationship going by, I really don't know. How do we keep our relationship going? It feels natural.
I don't think it's like a plan. I don't think it's like this is what we really have to do to make it happen. I don't know. I think just communication.
Communication and just like having fun. And having fun doesn't always have to be like going out and having fun. Like having fun like with each other in the house. Like we really be like cracking up. Like we be laughing all the time, making little inside jokes, like singing songs, like
We're friends first.
yeah, we're friends. Like just continue to be friends and it'll be good. Who's older?
Me.
What?
No, he's older than me.
We joke about this all the time too because I'm only 2 years older than her, but she tries to act like I'm an old man.
Cause 2 years is a lot of years.
2 years? Are we
Lots of
serious?
changes in 2 years. I'm a completely different person than I was 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh,
It's a little
whatever.
different. It's a little different. I feel like you're gonna be 30 before I'm 30. La 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 la. Okay. All the girls wanna know, are we engaged?
We're not engaged yet. So Taty has her mother's first ring as a promise ring to our relationship and the direction we're headed. But the engagement ring is coming soon.
Do you want to tell them how you got my mom's ring?
We went home for her college graduation and her mother, her father, and we all kind of had a moment and we had that serious talk like, all right, where's this going? What's going on? This, that, and the third. Just let them know how I feel. They told me how they felt. And then we collectively decided that if we're gonna take it there, we should have a symbol of our love. And so her mother allowed me to give her that for her birthday.
So, for all of y'all that were like, is that your engagement ring? No, I want my own engagement ring. I love my mother, but this is her engagement ring. But I also love their marriage, and so I feel honored to wear it.
And it was an honor that they let me give it to you.
Yeah. Follow-up question, they're asking, why are we not engaged?
Why are we not engaged? I think we're just getting our life together still, and we're taking that step.
I would say, I feel like when we do the engagement thing, I'm gonna be like, I want this to be perfect, I want the venue to be this, I want this, this, and that, and I, at this moment, don't have the time to dedicate to my dream wedding and like figuring it out. And I feel like we right now are making a plan to be able to have that time to like do that together every day and work on that, and like, okay, where do we want to live? Do we want to stay in LA? Do we want to go back home? What do we want to do when we get there? Like, I think we're trying to map out what life is going to look like in the next few years, and then do that so that I have the luxury of just like making it the one. Y'all already know it will be sooner than you think. Are you both on the same sleep schedule? Coming from Dante's grandma.
We are actually. That's not a good thing though, because our sleep schedules are crazy.
We used to not be on the same sleep schedule. I used to be like waking up super early in the morning, and he would be up all night, and then it slowly started to shift towards each other, and now we're both trying to be morning people again. Being a day person is better vibes.
It is. It's way better vibes. And as somebody who used to work in nightlife for years, I see the difference, and I'm going with the daytime.
Better vibes. Just better vibes overall. That's our vibe now. What are the pros and cons of living together?
I would say they're all pros. The only thing that I was gonna say as a con is that like, when you're having a bad day, when you live by yourself, you can kind of just have your bad day to yourself, and you don't really have to face your bad day. But that ends up being a pro, because if you're having a bad day, you should tell your partner. You should communicate what you're going through, and you should allow them to help you through it. And for me, I'm not somebody who's like used to telling somebody I'm having a bad day. So, you know, coming home and having to say it was like rough for me in the beginning, but now like, I'm like, I can't wait till I get home so I can tell Taty what's going on. And then you end up feeling better. Oh,
I didn't know what the answer was gonna be, y'all, because I'm like, con. I feel like everything is pros. What is something y'all are proud of each other for?
I'm proud of you about a lot. I'd say I'm proud of you just for your growth as a person, your growth with your anxiety, your growth as a woman, your growth with being comfortable with your femininity. I would say things like that. Just, you know, watching you grow as a woman has been really awesome.
I would say I'm proud of you for your discipline. Like when we met, like he was in a completely different space, like super nightlife, super party vibes. And it's like now it's like sober, and he's super level-headed, and he goes to the gym every day, and like just making a change from something that's really easy to fall into and stay in, and really hard to get out of is like huge. Like most people that we know that are in that are still in that because it's hard. Like that's not a knock to them. Like, oh, well, you didn't do any growth. It's hard to put that stuff down and to choose to face yourself and to be clear-minded and level-headed and to be disciplined with your mind, body, and spirit. That's really hard. So I give you a lot of credit for spending like a decade in something and then being like, I want different and better and, you know, more for myself. That's really, really big. So thank you.
You know what's something that can help you with that?
What?
Betterhelp.
That is true. Okay. And that is today's sponsor, Betterhelp. Betterhelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible.
And that's an important mission because finding a therapist can be really hard.
Especially when you're limited to just the options in your area. Betterhelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online and it's remote.
And just by filling out a few questions, Betterhelp can match you with a professional therapist in just a few days.
It's super easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist, and there's a link in my description at betterhelp.com/Taty.
Clicking that link helps support this channel, but also gets you 10% off your first month of Betterhelp.
And because finding a therapist is a little bit like dating, sometimes if you don't match with your therapist, you're not really feeling it, you can switch the therapist out without worrying about stress, losing your insurance, losing your network, anything like that.
Therapy is a big part of what keeps our relationship strong, so I highly recommend it to anybody who's considering.
So if you're struggling, consider online therapy with Betterhelp. You can click the link in my description or visit betterhelp.com/Taty.
Taty.
Thank you to Betterhelp for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back into it.
Thank you, Betterhelp.
Question from last time for those of y'all that watched the last relationship Q&A. Does Tiz still have the rule of not eating in the bed, and do you still follow it? Tell the truth.
We still have the rule. The rule is still there, but she has found little ways to bend the rules. is we have an approved snack list because she just has to have some type of snack. So on the approved list is what?
I finessed popcorn. I finessed that. That was a tussle for it. I got popcorn.
Yeah.
I got like Reese's Cups. Things that are not like overly crummy.
No crummy snacks in the bed because I don't want to be getting in the bed and then feel a chip poke. Nah.
He's so dramatic. Like I'm not
dramatic though.
Like just like
if you know, you know.
I'm not just inhaling the chips and they're just like crushing everywhere. Like that's not happening. Anyway, we do still have that, but compromise.
Compromise.
Okay. Was there a time you thought of breaking up because of a misunderstanding or a conflict?
I would say early on in the relationship. Why are you smiling?
I don't know if you will be honest.
Yeah, early on in the relationship, but I think it was just because we were still kind of learning how to really be in a real relationship. And I feel like both of our egos were so big, we'd be like, I don't want to deal with this. And then be like, I want to deal with this.
It was a different time where pride was in the way. It's like, you'd rather win than win together. Like I'd rather win the argument than for us to have the win of resolving it. It was that point where you're getting to know each other and really adjusting to, I feel like relationships don't succeed with pride and ego, and I don't want to be prideful with my partner. So I think at that time, us being younger, us being new to a real adult relationship, it was like, well, I'm used to doing things my way and I'm used to getting my way. And so if both of us are kind of doing that, then where's the resolution? So there's been times where it's like, girl, I don't need this, whatever. And then you end up with him anyway. So realistically, of course, I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you that, oh yeah, we've just been, so everything's been peaches and cream since the beginning and we just never ever tussle and we never ever think about, not like it's not that, but I would say we haven't thought about that in a minute.
Yeah,
because
I feel like that was an early stage thing.
We set the foundation.
But now that doesn't feel like an option.
Yeah, it's like we stuck together now. It is what it is. What are your intimate date night rules? Intimate, like you and your man time to talk about y'all's lives.
I feel like it's not a date night, it's more of like a communication night thing. That's our intimate time to kind of talk. So we have communication night, guys. So Monday nights is communication night. Have we ever talked about this?
I don't think so.
We have communication night. Monday nights is communication night, and that is a night for us to kind of just sit down, no phones, no TV, and just discuss what she's feeling, what I'm feeling, whatever happened throughout the week, and kind of just love on each other verbally.
It's like a weekly check-in.
A weekly check-in, yeah.
It's Monday. Let's talk about anything that upset you in the last week. It doesn't even have to be about me. Like it could be separate from that. Like, you know, I just had a rough week about X, Y, and Z, or maybe some trauma was coming up for me this week. Like whatever it is, it's just a time as a couple to like convene. Because although you are two separate people, you also are one. Like you also move in one accord. So if one person is off, the other one can be. It affects the unit. So Monday nights we do that. Wednesday nights we do game nights.
Game nights.
So like play the Xbox, a board game, something to just like look forward to during the week. Like Wednesday we're just gonna have fun, like nothing serious. We're gonna be kids. Thursday we try to like do something sweet for each other. Like I'm a words of affirmation person, so I appreciate a little love letter or something like that. And then the weekends it's like romance, so like date night. So actually this is a schedule that he came up with. I know.
Dun, 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 dun.
Really good. So we've been on that schedule, and it's just good because sometimes when the relationship don't have no structure, things get a little chaotic.
Especially if you have stuff going on, you know, you don't want your relationship to get lost in the mesh of your daily routine. So it's important that you literally set time aside for one another.
Even though we live together and we're constantly together, you still have to set specific.
I feel like when you live with somebody, it's easier to get lost in the mesh because you're like, oh, we're together.
We're comfortable, we're together all the time. We always spend time together, but like it's different when you carve out specific intentional time. It's about being intentional. Spiritual journey as a couple.
Well, that's a good question. We actually, well, I wouldn't say we just started, but this year we just started going to church together. So that's been really, really dope. Just reconnecting with God. We started reading the Bible, making sure we pray before we go to bed at night, making sure we pray before we leave in the car in the morning. Just trying to keep God in our life, trying to stay on His path, under His light.
Giving your union to God, I think is big. I know we all believe in different things, so whatever you believe in, but I think, you know, giving our union to God and praying and giving gratitude to God for our union and for our love every night, because people take that for granted. Like, they're, you know, you get comfortable in a relationship and it's just like, oh, okay, it's my person, blah, 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 blah. But there are people that, you know, are really looking for that type of companionship.
Yep.
And so that's something to be grateful for as well. That's something to make sure we don't take for granted the way that we might in the past. I've just been like, oh, okay, well, we're together and everything's cool, whatever. And it's like, no, we're grateful that we had another date together.
More
And,
people have had that companionship and lost their partner.
Just the gratitude of what we have is super big. Okay, y'all, so that was our Q&A. If you have more questions, ask us in the comments. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Did you have fun?
Yeah, thank you guys for having me again. I'd love to make a guest appearance.
Okay, we'll see y'all in the next one.